Hey guys, this is Z from Simple Baduk, and today we're going to take a look at how to play as white. We are going to get more into our Kobayashi trap opener and how to play some of the later moves and how to properly deal with Kobayashi trap opener as white in our future videos. But for now, you already know enough about how to play as black, especially when you are using Kobayashi trap opener, or if you are in SDK or DDK, you're still working with the 3-star opener. And if you're new to our membership, the Kyu Dan system, then you already know that, you probably don't know yet. When you ask me for a review, I will review all your games and give you some recommendations. And for some of you, I recommended 3-star opener, and for some of you, I recommended Kobayashi trap opener. But that's basically based on how well you can memorize things, because 3-star opener, it's mostly memorizing concepts and memorizing very common invasion techniques and attacking aggression techniques. But for Kobayashi trap opener, there are tons of things that you have to memorize, and the shapes that comes up in Kobayashi trap opener, it's not super common, not as common as the shapes you see in 3-star opener. So if you are in Q level, I generally recommend you to use 3-star opener, mostly to get used to those common invasions and attacking techniques. But for this how to play as white, regardless of your rank, I recommend you to finish this series, because it's not only as white. If you are playing as black and you prefer not using or if you prefer not memorizing tons of things, then you can still use the same concept and play the game. And before we begin, if you look at this picture, if you look at this one, are you more comfortable as white or as black? This is the kind of things you have to ask yourself when you're playing your games. So if you're in this kind of situation, would you prefer to play as black or as white? I believe most of you will say you're more comfortable as black, because black clearly has this beautiful moyo thing kind of thing going on. But the win rate wise, it's white is slightly better in this situation. Maybe the 16 being here is more okay, but whatever the thing is, in this situation, white is slightly better in AI's eyes, but in especially in Q players' eyes and in lower Dan ranked players' eyes, black is much better, because black has this moyo and white now has to invade in and has to survive the attack. And now let's take a look at this picture. Let me remove the numbers. In this picture, are you more comfortable as black or as white? I believe, again, most of you are gonna choose white, right? Because white has a lot of stones facing toward the middle, although black has some points. But overall, this is a pretty comfortable situation to play as white. But again, the win rate of this picture and this picture is pretty similar. But you think this picture is better for white because white has a lot of stones outside. And on top of that, black doesn't have a moyo. That's our goal with our white's openers. We are trying to achieve scattering the board. In this situation, black has one group, 2 group, 3 group, 4 group, 4 groups, and white has several groups too. In this picture, we can almost see all these as a one huge chunk of black group, right? So as long as when you're playing white, as long as you can scatter the board like this, don't allow black to have a moyo, then the game should be good for you. And nowadays, although people prefer to have black, because when you're playing as black, you get to choose the strategy. You get to basically control the rhythm and flow of the game, because you get to play the first move. And you can go with 3-star opener, Chinese opener, Kobayashi opener, whatever you can do. But as white, you don't really have a choice. You have to just listen to black and just try to do your best, because you get to you play the second move. Which means when you are playing as black and you are not planning to use anything fancy like Kobayashi trap opener, then if you can try to grow something huge, then the game should be a lot easier for you because most people under 7-dan Fox, they don't know how to properly invade. That's the fact. So if both of you don't know how to invade properly, then you should be the one waiting for the invasion instead of invading someone because, again, nobody knows how to properly invade and survive the attack. So if you are playing as black, try to get a moyo. If you're playing as white, your moyo will never be bigger than your opponent unless your opponent is trying to go for territories. Then you can have a huge moyo. But in most cases, black has to have a huge moyo if you allow black. So try to either become as white, either become the someone with the moyo or just remove the potential of anyone having a moyo. That's basic idea. Just either scatter the board or become you are the one going to have the moyo as white. And before we move on to the strategy we're going to talk about, first let's talk about some of the common opening tactics that you can see as as white. When your opponent plays a 3-star opener, the easiest way to deal with it is just approach. Either side is fine. Usually they're gonna play something over here or they're just gonna play something, but in some cases, they're going to pincer you. And what they are hoping to see is this kind of picture. And then again, this is what black is hoping to see. Black is trying to get a massive influence and thickness outside and use the thickness to try to lure invasions and attack you to get profit. So regardless how your opponent pincers you in 3-star opener, when you're playing as white, you are going to play 1 space high approach on the other side. And this joseki we have shown you in our essential joseki series, so I'm not going to go too deep into this one. But in short, this is what you are expecting. From here, you get something like this. And in most cases, black is going to play something like this. Then if you're in Q level, you can comfortably play this one because everyone is gonna answer you. And then you attack this one and then you kick this down. If you don't want to kick, this one is fine too. So if you kick, you get to have a sente and you approach again. And you approach again and the same thing happens. And black plays here, here, and you can play this one. Oh, you can actually play something like this. And if you look at this one, white has the corner and the corner. And black has this kind of thick group over here and here. Not really much points. And this one, we can't really say this is completely alive. So this is a pretty good situation for white. And if you see this situation, let me remove the numbers again. The whole point is to avoid complicated fights because we are in black's area. What I mean by black's area is we draw a line between here. On the left side, we have 2 white stones. This is white's area. And on the right side, we have 2 black stones. That's black's area. If any fight happens over here, that favors black. So if you are trying to just play some simple Baduk, avoid any weird fights at all cost when you're playing in your opponent's area. So on top of that, if you look at this one, we are also trying to scatter the board. Because we have chosen this joseki, black doesn't get to have any huge moyo anymore. Before then, black used to have something like this, right? But now, black doesn't have any potential to grow a moyo. So you have broken the board into pieces, and if you drag it to the end game without making too many huge mistakes, then the game is gonna be pretty good for white. Let's take a quick break. Want to improve faster at Go? Try the Kyu Dan System. Your first month is free. No code needed, it's automatically applied at the checkout. And while you're at it, explore Simple Baduk for premium Winzu stones and Shingaya boards, and the exclusive Blue Glow new Winzu stones. Let's get back to the board. And what if black just defends like this? Then you are going to, you can play this one for being safe. And in this kind of situation, back in the days, not back in the days, but in our previous videos, I always say play this 2 space because this one is more secure. If you play 3 space extension, then we have one invasion point and another invasion point. There are two invasion points. But if you play two spacer, then we only have one invasion point over here. But in this case, it's kind of okay to play this three space, because if black dares to invade you, we're not even gonna... Even if black invades you, you are going to have a, what do you call, a wall over here that is going to reduce the power of black's hope of attacking you with this loose wall over here. So you can kind of hope your opponent is going to invade over here. And in a lot of cases, as the game progresses, a lot of people actually invade over here because they don't know invading over here means their outside power is going to get erased. So they just invade without thinking. So you can kind of hope that happens when you play. But if you think your opponent is kind of smart, then you can just simply play this one, because black invading over here is also kind of, what do you call it? Reducing the power over here, because this group is going to get stronger, and as you attack this stone, you get to jump out too. So it's basically how you think about this thing. And when you play something over here, your opponent is going to play, if black really wants a great moyo, then black is going to play this one. Then no brainer, you just invade 3-3 over here, and black is probably going to choose this variation actually. And here, it kind of depends. If you think you can invade over here and reduce it or threaten any invasions, then you can save this one for later, because this tiger's mouth is simply too strong. You can just play this one and then play away. But I mean, who's gonna invade in this area, right? We have a huge black wall over here. Might as well you just get your corner, have a sente, and then start jumping up from here to reduce black. Or if you are pretty comfortable with black's moyo, then you can just, even this one works. And black doesn't really get to have a huge moyo. And from here, if your opponent is trying to get you into this kind of situation, and you really don't want your opponent to have this double wing kind of thing going on, then maybe instead of playing this one, because if you play this, there's a chance of black playing this, and you play this, you play this, you play this, black plays this one, they play this, and black is still going to get this kind of double wing kind of thing going on. So that is a problem, not a problem, issue that you have to think about if you are planning to disrupt black's hope of getting a huge moyo. So in this kind of situation, I rather recommend you to play this 3-space high pincer, because I mean, if black jumps, then you can just keep jumping. Black doesn't really get to attack this stone. It's too far from this and too far from this. And if black goes into 3-3, that's even better, because at the end, you get to have this one. This one, if you compare to the normal one, like one space pincer, you get this. Although white gets to have a sente, black playing something over here is almost a sente, because white needs to spend another move over here. Otherwise, black is going to do things like this to you, and it's really annoying. And on top of that, white's shape, although it's pretty thick, kind of thick, not really thick, but it's not really compared to this one, like this. White's this stone is kind of a 2-space extension from this thickness. And although white gets to have a gote at the end, but white is really thick, and this is really effectively preventing anything black trying to grow over here. So if your opponent approaches you like this, then if you don't want your opponent to have a huge moyo, then I highly recommend this 3-space high pincer. And from here, black is either going to get into 3-3 or approach you somewhere over here. And regardless how your opponent approaches you, all you gotta do is just lean on one of them. And as long as you don't get cut, it's not bad for you, because you have already restricted black from growing too big. Now let's take a look at Chinese opener. Either high or low, it doesn't really matter. The first move is approach the corner. And literally almost nobody plays pincer in this situation. If your opponent plays pincer, again, you go back to this variation and black is going to not have a moyo. That's what's basically going to happen. Black's hope of getting a moyo is gone. So one space high, low, or whatever pincer, you just play over here and you're good. If black plays this one, you get to play this poke, and you can save this slide for later actually. If you slide in, then black is going to play away and finish this double wing kind of situation. If you don't want that, then you can immediately attach over here. If black plays anything other than this one, black is losing points. It's not really good. And all those variations we have talked about in our previous video, so I'm not going to go too deep into that thing. And from here, you can push once and then play this high 3-space extension. From here, black is probably going to pincer you, right? So let's say black pincers you like this. Then you can either, I actually just recommend you to play this one, let black defend, and you play this one, let black pull back, and then move on with your game. Now, if you look at this one, black, again, has no hope of growing a huge moyo. At any point, you can play this one, and black is getting pressed down really low, like this. There are really not a lot of points for black. I'm not saying this thing is bad for black. It's just not as hard to play as white in this kind of situation. And lastly, Kobayashi opener. When your opponent gets into this thing, all you gotta do is 2-space high approach over here. If your opponent plays this one, you attach over here. Whatever your opponent does, just cut and see what happens. As long as you don't get locked inside the corner or get killed, you'll be fine. So as long as you get to run toward this side, you should be fine. If your opponent plays something like this, then you're going to play over here. If your opponent plays something over here, then you're going to push over here. If your opponent plays something over here, then you're going to approach this corner, make him answer, and then you get to invade over here, or just disgust him with this one. I have talked about all these in our previous video. Did I? Oh, this one is for our future video. So this is basically how to deal with Kobayashi opener. Dealing with Kobayashi trap opener is slightly more tricky, but we are going to get into that in our future video too. Now let's get into our topic, the actual topic. How long has it been? It's been almost 20 minutes. So today we're going to talk about how to play as white when black is not using anything fancy. And today's one is going to be on how do you play when your opponent 3-3s you immediately. So if black is not trying anything fancy, it's usually either approach over here or here. Let me just use this one. Either, where is it? Okay, here, 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 and here. Basically these 4 moves. And in some cases, black plays these 2. But if you just narrow it down, it's either approach or 3-3, right? So today we're going to talk about 3-3. When black plays this one, the easier way to deal with it is to just block this side and get this. And if you don't want your opponent to have a moyo, then you be the one with the moyo first. Let your opponent be anxious. That's how you could play. Or you can just keep playing normal like this. But if you approach from this side, black later is going to have a moyo. This one might be better. And you can complete this, and yeah, the game goes on normally. But I kind of still recommend you to play this one, because this one in lower down games and Q games, it makes your opponent anxious, especially you follow it up with this one. So this is how you play. But the one I am actually going to recommend you is that when you play something like this, there is also still a chance of your opponent trying to get a moyo, and that's annoying. Although you have a moyo too, but whenever you see your opponent has a moyo, that's always annoying, right? So in order to prevent that, here's what I recommend you. Block from this side. And from here, you approach from here. Now, white has a chance of growing a moyo, and on the other hand, black doesn't really have a chance of growing a moyo anymore. Because if you play this one, white can play this, and white is trying to grow something. And if black immediately invades you like a fool, then you can attack and get the initiative. And if black just keeps going on normal, and now black has a chance of growing a moyo again. And if you really don't want to see that, you can pincer black this way or this way. That's how you go about it. Basically, the idea is to try to grow a moyo, and if you think your opponent is going to have a moyo, then disrupt that. But again, that's still not what I'm trying to recommend. What I'm trying to recommend is this and double Hane. Why? Because at the end of the Joseki, although white gets to have a gote, black has a sente. First of all, white is almost completely alive over here, although there are some nasty moves around this area, but trust me, nobody in Q level knows how to abuse this shape. And we are going to do a topic on how to abuse this corner in our future video. And from here, black has kind of three options. It's this approach, 3-3, and this one. And let's talk about 3-3 first. How do you deal with if black comes into your corner once again? And this one, you have to see the value of each side. If you are blocking from this side, black has a ponuki over here, so your influence is immediately useless. So no matter what, you should block from this side. If you want to, you can just, what is that? Nope. You can play something like this and get this kind of thing going on because black doesn't really have a hope of growing a huge moyo. But one thing you gotta kind of worry about is this thing. And you are kind of running toward black's ponuki over here. That's kind of annoying. And even if you grew something over here, this thing is pretty annoying. So in order to prevent all these annoying things that could happen, again, you're going to double Hane. What do you do if black gets this kind of thing, right? And in this situation, most Q players, they are going to play something over here, trying to connect everything, and it seems like a lot of points. But if you actually think about it, this thing is really not a lot of points. It's 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. It's about 20 points. But white has one corner. I mean, that's pretty even, right? If you divide the board in half, and white has 10 something points over here, 10 something points over here, and black has 20 points over here. So this is an even result for both players. But it's actually not that even because black is overcrowded over here. Black has spent 4, 8, 9 stones to get 20 points. How sad is that? So this one is really good for white. And this opener is just not something that I created out of nothing. This is an opener Shin Jin-seo used to abuse Keuje back in the days. And Shin Jin-seo used it so many times and it annoyed Keuje so much that even Keuje posted a Weibo and said, "Who lives like that? You're not a human being anymore. That's too disgusting." So that's the backstory of it. And from this kind of situation, if black plays this one or this one, these are also really common moves that you will see. If black extends on either side, you are not going to Hane because black is going to keep pushing you like this, and you'll see all of a sudden, oh, black is having a moyo, let me reduce it. Then black is going to double Hane you, and black has good all these, I mean, there are like a lot of weird ajis in this side of the board. So this is not how you play Go. When black extends over here, you are going to ignore it and small knights over here, and you will see all of a sudden the potential is gone. And if black extends from the other side, you're going to small knights from the other side. And if black just continues playing the game, then you can just continue the game as normal. And at any time, if black plays this one, you're going to play small knights over here. If black plays this one, you small knights over here. So black is never going to have anything huge over here other than these two very overcrowded ponukis. So the opener like this is mostly about making your opponent overcrowded, less efficient, and also breaking up the board. Black doesn't really have a chance to grow something huge because white is pretty thick over here, and white can invade anywhere without worrying about dying or getting too severely attacked. And when you double Hane black, black sees, oh, I have a Ponuki over here. And I don't want another Ponuki because I care about efficiency. Then black could play this one, then you can play this one. Then we all know this Joseki, you just play something over here, and black plays this one, and white captures this stone. And back in the days, we say this one is better. But now AI says this one is better. But nobody really explained why. So we are going to make a video on that in our future video, but in short, if white plays this one, black has a lot of weird ajis over here. Black can even attach over here because the liberties are too tight for these 4 stones. There are a lot of weird things that could happen if you don't be careful. So AI says, instead of having those weird ajis, I would rather sacrifice some stones, sacrifice some points, and get a completely big group. Even if you get to this kind of situation, this is still pretty good for white because black still doesn't have a great potential to have a huge moyo. In our next video, we're gonna talk about some of more 3-3 invasion related theories and techniques, so stay tuned. Alright, that's it for today's video. I will see you in our next video with more 3-3 invaded techniques and theories. This has been Z from Simple Baduk, and I'll see you next time.